in studio. You're tuning in. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning from Atlanta. Well, good morning. Happy Monday, y'all. Welcome to another show, and that's LinkedIn user one. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. Monday, October 21st, 2024. A packed show for all y'all this morning, so let's get the ball rolling and right into it. But before we do that, coming back from a weekend, Monday blues, I often see the people post going, our Monday already. One way I get through my Mondays is my espressos. Really, my espresso saved me. This is actually out of my espresso machine, and it's an espresso capsule. It's the Napoli espresso. So coffee cup cheers, y'all. For those that are about to ask how many espresso machines I have, the number is 4. It's 4. Yep. Gotta have a backup to the backup. All right. Here we go, folks. Cisco. Last week we reported on Intel broker posting online that he had breached Cisco and that he was able to get his or her hands on some GitHub and SonarQube projects, source code, hard-coded credentials, certificates, confidential documents, Jira tickets, API tokens, AWS private buckets, encryption keys, and other types of information. They've also said to have obtained source code associated with companies like Microsoft, AT&T, Verizon, Chevron, BT, SAP, T-Mobile, and Bank of America. They've published several screenshots demonstrating access to management interfaces, internal documents, slideshows, source code, as well as databases storing customer information. Seems significant. Cisco, for their end, said, we don't see anything in our environment. We are investigating. The company said that they believe Intel broker obtained the data from a public-facing DevHub environment. DevHub, which is a content manager and marketing solution. Cisco described the compromised environment as a resource center used to make available source code, scripts, and other content for customers. At this stage of their investigation, they've determined a small number of files that were not authorized for public download may have been published, adding that as of now, they haven't observed any confidential information like PII or financial data included. So there's that. Intel broker is known for targeting major companies, and many of them have confirmed a data breach. So we'll see what happens there. Here's the thing with this one, and here's kind of a little takeaway. All right, and I'm gonna kind of like lay this out really easy. Whether it's your environment or a third-party environment, you, Cisco, are responsible for securing it. So trying to downplay this in a sense of saying like, well, it really was, we weren't hacked. It was a third-party system that you manage, and you hold responsibility to managing that, meaning specifically, you're not monitoring credentials on that platform. Obviously, the person who was compromised had admin access because there's no other way they would get all that data, everything that Intel broker claims to have gotten, if they didn't have admin access. Because if they had just compromised, let's say, one of the users of your platform, then they would have only that user's information. Instead, they have everyone's information. So what I'd suggest, Cisco, is take a step back, understand that our intelligence cannot be insulted, and provide a real concrete kind of explanation to what happened in your environment. And the best way to do that is to restore customer trust. Yes, we screwed up. We weren't monitoring this environment. We didn't think anyone would target it. Whatever it was, good or bad, just say it. The excuse you're making here insults the intelligence of many people in this industry who work hard to keep their organization safe. But Cisco isn't the only one. Nidec Corporation is informing that attackers behind the ransomware attack they suffered earlier this year did steal the data and leak it on the dark web as the ransomware negotiations fell through. The attack didn't encrypt any files. The incident is considered fully remediated at this point. Nidec employees, contractors, and associates should be aware that leaked data could be used in more targeted phishing attacks. These guys are global leaders in manufacturing of precision motors, automotive components, industrial parts, home appliance parts, and robotic systems. They operate in 40 countries. They have over 120,000 employees. They generate an annual revenue of $11 billion. So the attack breached the Nidec Precision Division in Vietnam. They manufacture optics, electronics, and mechanical equipment for the photography industry. The investigation revealed the attackers stole some 50,000 files, including internal documents, letters from business partners, documents related to green procurement, labor safety and health policies, business documents, and some contracts. Um, the gang behind this one is called 8 Base, and they're a ransomware gang. Um, they've claimed the attack on Nidec on June 18th, alleging the data was stolen from the systems on June 3rd. 8 Base claimed to be holding much of what Nidec confirmed via their investigation, plus personal data and a huge amount of confidential information. By the way, if that was the case, ransomware gangs are very much what I like to say ego driven in some cases. And so they'll say they have more data than what they actually have in order to continue to try to get some level of cash. However, based on what NIDAC says they actually have to that dollar value is very, very minimal outside of maybe a competitor. So there's that. Internet Archive suffers an email hack while still trying to recover from the cyber attack that paralyzed the website and exposed the information of 31 million users. I did a gaffe on this one when we first did it the first time around. I didn't see the line that I should have seen, so I was reporting it incorrectly. So I'm trying to redeem myself here this morning, folks. So a blog post on Friday, Internet Archive founder Brewster Colley said that the Wayback Machine archive, scanning, and National Library crawls have all been restored, along with email, help desk, blog, and social media communication. He announced other services should be back online within days. However, as they went back online on Friday, over the weekend, many users who in the past contacted Internet Archive support received an email informing them about another security incident, one related to the Internet Archive's Zendesk instance. The email apparently sent by someone who abused a compromised Zendesk token read, "It's dispiriting to see that even after being made aware of the breach 2 weeks ago, Internet Archive has still not done the due diligence of rotating many of their API keys that were exposed in their GitLab secrets." The attacker did lead as demonstrated by this message. This includes a Zendesk token with perms to access 800,000 support tickets sent to info@archive.org since 2018. Whether you were trying to ask a general question or requesting the removal of your site from the Wayback Machine, your data is now in the hands of some random guy. If not B, it'd be someone else. So you can kind of see that there. The Internet Archive has not shared any information on who's behind the attack. However, some indications show that a pro-Palestinian hacktivist group named Black Meta has taken credit for the DDoS attack, but the actual hacking appears to have been carried out by unidentified threat actors. So there's that there. CISO, for their end, confirms a vulnerability is being used in ransomware attacks. The Veeam vulnerability CVE 2024-40711 is rated critical, has a severity of 9.8, was disclosed back in September. It could allow an attacker to gain full control of a system, manipulate data, and potentially move laterally within the network, making it a relatively high-value target for threat actors, according to researchers over at Census. Veeam released a fix on September 4th after the bug was discovered by Code White security researcher Florian Hauser. By September 15th, a proof-of-concept code exploit was released by Watchtower Lab. Veeam, their main business is software backup and system backups and disaster recovery. So this is huge. CIS has added this vulnerability to their KEV catalog, saying federal civilian agencies have until November 7th to address this specific vulnerability. So we'll see. As of right now, there's some campaigns out there, but none concrete. So I'm not going to take you down a rabbit hole where we don't need to go down one at this time. Roundcube Webmail. If you're asking who uses Roundcube Webmail, well, former CIS countries, predominantly governmental organizations in former CIS countries. Former CIS countries are former Soviet Union countries, predominantly on the western bloc of Russia, eastern bloc of Europe. CVE 2024-37383 is a cross-site scripting issue that affects the way Roundcube was handling SVG animated attributes. The bug was patched on May 19th. However, they're seeing active attacks for those unpatched ones, targeting government webmail servers. The executed code was meant to save some attached documents and obtain emails from the server using the Manage Sieve plugin. All in all, the cybersecurity couldn't link the attack to any one threat actor. However, being that this is a CIS country, would be remiss if we didn't say Russia could be behind it. If you haven't subscribed to my Substack, I'd ask you to please consider doing so now. It's free. You can support our work through Substack, but almost a lot of our content is free there. That's jamesazar.substack.com. Every Saturday morning, I release kind of a late article that you can enjoy reading with your cup of coffee. This week, aligning cybersecurity, compliance, and business operations as regulations change. You can go check that out on our Substack, jamesazar.substack.com. Subscribe there. It is absolutely free. Microsoft said it mitigated an issue that led to a partial loss of more than 2 weeks of security log data during September. The company notified customers that some security logs were lost due to a bug in the company's internal monitoring agents. This impacted log data from Entra, Sentinel, Purview, and Defender for Cloud. If you don't know what Entra is, it's Active Directory. They've changed the name because that's what Microsoft does. So there's that. They've mitigated the issue by rolling back a service change. According to John Sheehan, the corporate VP at Microsoft, they've communicated with all impacted customers. However, some customers have said that they were actually not contacted and were not notified due to the loss of their logs. So we'll see how kind of that breaks down there. But again, kind of changes that concern. It didn't impact everyone. It impacted some customers. Lets you know kind of the change was limited to specific settings within the environment. And again, this goes to, kind of the how security should look at QA. And QA should be viewed kind of in a way where you're trying to test as many use cases as humanly possible. I don't blame Microsoft for this necessarily, and I'll tell you why. The way there's so many different environments available for Microsoft that they're likely testing the most common one and potentially the uncommon one. I don't know the full scale of this specific log loss here. So I'm saying this based on the data I know now. However, as more data becomes available, I may change my position here, but it's hard to do QA when your customers could be, you could have, 1,500 different settings or different environments or different variables. So you're likely only going to focus on the big ones, the major ones, and then deal with the other ones as they come along, potentially rolling back the change just to those specific environments, identifying the reason it happened, and then rolling the changes back out. There's that. If you're an Adel Asian customer, you may want to take notice to vulnerabilities in Bitbucket, Confluence, and Jira service management products. The Bitbucket data center and server update resolves CVE 2024-21147, which is a high severity flaw in the Java runtime environment. It could lead to unauthorized access and tampering with critical data. Oracle released patches for this bug, and Adel has released the patches in the Bitbucket in versions 9.2.1, 8.19.10, and 8.9.20. Two additional security defects tracked as CVE 2022-24785 and 2022-31129 are again 2-year-olds, are described as a path traversal and a READ-DOS, a regular expression denial of service vulnerabilities. Both could be exploited without authentication or patched. So again, you want to make sure you get that taken care of. And then Jira Service Management Data Center and Server resolved CVE 2024-7254, which is a protobuf buffer overflow issue that could allow attackers to impact service availability. That's also been patched with the latest versions of 5.12.14, 5.7.4, and 10.1.1. Attackers breached ESET's exclusive partner in Israel to send phishing emails to Israeli businesses that pushed data wipers disguised as antivirus software for destructive attack. The data wipers malware that intentionally deletes all files started getting used by the Russians against the Ukrainians and has made its way into Israel recently. The phishing campaign that started on October 8th was branded with the ESET logo and was sent from a legitimate eset.co.il domain, indicating that Israel's division email server was breached as part of the attack. While the ESET domain is branded with ESET's content and logo, ESET told Bleeding Computers it's operated by ComSecure, their Israeli distributor. The emails pretend to be from ESET's advanced threat defense team, warning customers that government-backed attackers are trying to target the recipient's device. To help protect the device, ESET offers a more advanced antivirus tool called EET Unleashed to protect against the threat. That device was identified among a list of devices currently being targeted in order to use wiper malware. So once the individuals downloaded the Unleashed, it actually downloaded different payloads, and then it went about looking at trying to destroy the data. There were 4 different DLLs that are legitimate files distributed as part of the ESET antivirus software. However, the setup.exe is a malicious data wiper, and Bleeping Computer attempted to test the wiper on a virtual machine, but the executable automatically crashed. Said that it would have to reach out to a legitimate Israeli site, ORF. ORF is the Home Front Command for Israel. That's what ORF stands for. And then it uses a host of obvious techniques to invade detection. So they're kind of using that site as a way to build that out. ComSecure hasn't replied to access to it. And obviously, Israel has had its fair share of wiper attacks, including the Bibi malware version 1 and 2 that started back in 2023. So there's that there. So something to keep your eye on. As more wiper malware, the more it becomes prevalent, the greater danger it is for organizations. Keep that in mind. China's spam-flush disinformation campaign is testing new techniques on Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who heads the Senate Intelligence Committee as well with Senator Mark Warner. Senator Rubio, long been disparaging of the Chinese Communist Party and China's general politics, has always been a target of Chinese state media disinformation campaign and misinformation campaigns. The initial spam flush operation against the senator began early on election day back in November of 2022. At the time, Rubio was running against Democrat Val Demings. The race wasn't close. Rubio won that race by about 16 points. Even so, the morning Lenville and his team noticed a sudden explosion of posts about Rubio across a number of platforms. On Twitter, now X, they found 20,000 messages from 6,500 different accounts, all posted in a matter of hours. They were flooding the zones with posts. That is standard operating procedure for China information operation. That's how they get the algorithms running, right? So they're testing different techniques now. In the 2024 campaign against Rubio that began in mid-September, Spam Flush used a smaller number of hijacked and repurposed accounts that had made more posts, followers, and looked more authentic. This time, instead of being generally supportive of Rubio, the campaign shared overtly anti-Rubio content, then amplified it to take images and photographs attacking Rubio, then shared them not just on X, but also Reddit and Medium as well. Senator Rubio has declined to address the issue, as he should. And finally, an Alabama man was arrested by the FBI for his suspected role in hacking the SEC's X account to make a fake announcement about the Bitcoin ETFs were approved. The Department of Justice said 25-year-old Eric Council of Alabama and conspirators conducted a SIM swap attack to take over the identity of the person in charge of the SEC's X account. He's now been apprehended and faces charges there as well. We'll see what happens there. The indictment says that Council used his personal computer to make internet searches about the attack, with some indicating his concerns that the FBI was investigating him. Specifically, one search: how can I know for sure if I'm being investigated by the FBI? And what are the signs that you are under investigation by law enforcement of the FBI, even if you've not been contacted by them? Oh, the power of the internet. That's it for our show this morning. Please make sure to subscribe, follow, and comment below. We'll be back with a whole lot more 9 a.m. Eastern live tomorrow with all the latest and greatest. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.